Hello friends, this is Joe from Joe K Models. Well, it's been a while, but I'm happy to say that I finally completed this Supermarine Spitfire kit from Tamiya. I've been working on this off and on for probably the last 2 to 3 years of my life. It's traveled with me through 2 different moves. I've gotten married in that time, so just some various life stages that I've gone through and I've experienced with this kit. So, one of the things I love about this hobby is that you can always put it aside and then come back to it when you need to. So I've really enjoyed building it. The engineering on this and just the crafting of it has been a joy to build. As you can see here, like the molding is excellent, recessed panel lines, good detail. And I built a lot of Spitfires in my time, and they've all had their various issues, but this one was pretty seamless, pardon the pun, but I really did enjoy it. So with that, I hope you enjoy this build. The directions were pretty straightforward throughout the building of this kit. There's 3 different versions labeled A, B, and C, and I like to take notes in the actual instruction booklet, do the color callouts on there, as well as kind of circle the parts of the step that correspond to the particular version that I'm building. And I decided to go with the Battle of Britain here. So with that, let's get started. So I'm priming this black just because, well, for 2 reasons really. The first reason is that I'm going to be putting a bare metal silver over it, and that just looks great over the black primer. And the second reason is that when I paint the cockpit green over it, it creates a nice shading effect as well, so a dual purpose to that. Another cool feature of this kit is it comes with PE parts right out of the box, and it just adds that extra level of detail, and one of the main reasons why I decided to have an open cockpit. You know, one of the things I used to stress out over was this detail painting part of it, just trying to get everything as perfect as can be. Now I take the attitude of, well, you're going to be dry brushing this and adding washes to it and weathering, so maybe it doesn't have to be 100% perfect like you think it needs to. just to be clear here, when I say that I'm using Future or Clear to seal the model, I'm actually using Revive It floor gloss. I know there's different versions of the product that are called different things, so that was always confusing to me because I'd always go and look for something called Future and I could never find it. It's because they never sold it here where I live at, so. And with the cockpit assembled now, I can get to the main assembly of the aircraft. And this is something that isn't the most glorious thing to do, but it's very important to get right because if you don't get rid of those seam lines and you cut some corners, it can show through on the final product. So I do my best here to make sure that that doesn't happen. I will say that one of the most joyful parts of this kit involved right here in the assembly is putting these different pieces together. Just the way that they fit is probably the best fitting kit that I've ever built like that. I did add just a little bit of filler on these two areas right here, but this was very minor work. if there was one area that I felt could be reevaluated on this kit, I would say it's these stickers that you have to cut out with your hobby knife. I didn't find it too difficult to follow the lines, and they worked out okay, but looking back at it, I probably would have done this with just regular tape and cut out with my knife. Okay, and now we can get on to some of the fun stuff here, actually putting some paint on the Spitfire. And I opt to prime this in black, and then I'm going to do a pre-shading with a white, and then I'm going to put those primary colors over that. And this pre-shading work here that I'm doing, I find that this is a great time to hone in my technique, which can translate later to doing freehand camouflage patterns or more precise airbrush work later on. There's less pressure here just because you're going to be covering this pre-shading up with your top colors anyway, so this is a great time to kind of think in that mindset. And now I'm adding that sky color to the bottom of the model. I do this in very light coats, and you control how much of that pre-shading shows through on the final product by doing it this way. Lighter coats, you're going to see more of it, and the more aggressive that you are with it, the less that you're going to see. So it's just a matter of preference and how you want the final result to be. I do like adding the clear coat after painting, just so that when I put the masking on, I don't run the risk of tearing some of the paint off when I take the masking back off. And now I get on to the actual mixing of the paint for the top camouflage colors. The brown color is XF52 5 parts and XF49 1 part, and I like to save the paint mix in these bottles so that I can mark them, use them for later. And I'll just squeeze 5 drops of the XF52 into the bottle, and then I will clean using those water containers, and then I'll drop 1 drop of the XF49. If I wanted to make double the batch, I would just multiply those numbers by 2. And then I also add in the Tamiya thinner as well, and I just want to have at least an equal amount of thinner in there, if not a little bit more. I'm usually probably 60 to 70% more with the thinner than I am the paint mixture inside. And there you go, you have a paint mixture in a bottle. Another reason why I like the bottle is that I can seal it, and I can also squirt it right into the airbrush itself, so it comes in real handy. And again, just real light coats, because I have that pre-shading on there, and you control the amount of pre-shading that shows through. And I slowly but surely cover the model with this top coat of the brown. I also decided that I was going to freehand the camouflage this time around, so with a pencil I just drew the pattern on there, and I started airbrushing along those lines. And just slowly but surely I covered up the areas I wanted with the green. And I think you'll see as I progress through here, I gain a little bit more confidence, and I'm pretty happy with the way that this turned out. I think sometimes we get the idea in our head that there's just certain things that we're not capable of, that we always have to mask it. And sometimes you want that hard line on there and it makes sense to mask it, but until you actually try doing it yourself, you're never going to know, and you can only get better at it. So you can always practice on a paper towel, and you can always touch this up with the brown again if you go outside the line or something happens. So I encourage anybody that hasn't tried it, that wants to go ahead and give it a shot, because you might just surprise yourself. And now I apply the decals to the model. I use Micro Set and Micro Sol for this. And for those pesky stencils, I do like to use an old airbrush needle to kind of move those in place. You do have to be careful with that, not to damage them, just to lightly move them around. I do seal the model after putting on those small stencils before applying those bigger ones. did want to point out how clever the engineering is here on the landing gear. It's just one piece, so you know it's going to be aligned correctly. And then these other pieces that I painted separately from the model, they just kind of snap right into place. I do add some glue to those to hold them there, but I mean the fit on these were tremendous. Now I'm applying an oil wash to the model. It's mostly black, but a little bit of brown in there. I really like using the oils as a panel line wash because it's really workable. You wipe it right off, and you know it doesn't dry, so it's really easy to work with, and I like the effect that you get afterwards. If there is a slight downside to using oils for the wash, it's that it's very easy to leave fingerprints, so I always wear gloves while doing this, and even with that you can still leave little smudges and things like that, so just need to be aware of that. So on the topic of trying new things, I wanted to try a different type of weathering that I've never done before. I wanted to add a rusty, muddy, smoky look to the bottom of the model. And instead of using the regular thinner, I actually used isopropyl alcohol to mix the paint and the airbrush, and it just kind of gives a mistier, lighter coat, and I like the effect for it, so that's what I did. And I add the rust color first. And if you look at rust in real life, it's not just one color. So I'm going to add the brown and then the smoke after that. And on those panel lines that I want to have a cleaner line for, I actually applied tape to it to achieve that. The places that I focus on for more of a buildup are the wheel bay areas where the exhaust is coming out, certain panel lines going the length of the airplane, places like that. to simulate the areas of high traffic where, the pilot's getting into the cockpit and there's maintenance going on with the airplane. Those areas are going to be weathered a little bit differently. They're going to be weathered more. So I add oil paint, yellow and brown, to achieve this effect. And a few last weathering touch-ups here. So I'm using brown panel wash, pastels for dusting, to add just a little bit more to what I've already done. All of these different layers of weathering, even though some of them seem small, when you add them all up and you stand back, that's really when you kind of see the culmination of everything that you've done. There is a fine line to overdoing it, so you do have to step back often and judge for yourself how you feel about it. And I find this time to be really exciting just because you're taking off the masking, you're adding on a couple of those final sub-assemblies to the model. Up until this point, everything's been covered up and you're kind of imagining how it's going to look, but this is the first time where you actually get to see it with your own eyes, so I really do enjoy this moment. Sometimes I just have to step back and realize for a second that this was a machine that was a real thing that real brave men flew to defend a lot of the freedoms and liberties that we enjoy today. So while I spent a fair amount of time building this, I still feel like if in some way this pays homage to that, then it served its purpose to me.